Big tech is driving one of the most significant digital infrastructure investments the world's ever seen, with data centres like this one behind me set to accelerate economy's technological capability. I wanted to find out if Microsoft's investment here is paying off.
It absolutely helps our economy, no question. Jobs, upskilling, people in tech earning better wages, like the whole thing. There's nothing now not only stopping us, but the flow-on effect of rising all tides is what I'm so excited by.
One thing that may slow that, though, perhaps, is the state of our economy right now. And the economy was certainly in better shape when Satya first signed this off and you started building this data centre region here. Talk to me about the demand that you're seeing now. Is there perhaps some hesitancy because of the cost of transitioning into the public cloud?
Actually, quite the opposite.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. This unsuspecting building is the cornerstone of Microsoft's bet down under. The big tech giant has just begun operating its hyperscale data centre region in New Zealand. And it has first mover advantage, beating its competitors Google Cloud and Amazon Web Services to the data demand rush. Amazon's not far behind, already committing 7 billion New Zealand dollars to building its own region, which is just down the street. It expects to open it by the end of this year. We're not allowed inside these centres because they're supposed to be secret, with security a selling point for many of their high-profile public and private customers, including banks, the ACC and Auckland Transport. This is one of 61 Microsoft Azure regions globally. They're all connected, with tens of thousands of kilometres worth of fibre optic cable. Microsoft's 3 centres here are said to be some of the most modern they've ever built. It uses no water and instead has an air cooling system to maintain a low temperature inside, with a fully renewable power source thanks to a contract with Contact Energy. But what they define as a data centre region may differ to others, and this is where they get competitive. For example, AWS talks up its dedicated availability zones in separate locations that each operate off their own power supply, meaning if one goes down, the others stay operating. What they all ensure, though, is that New Zealanders' information stays here and isn't sent to be stored in data centres around the world. That's what Microsoft's Vanessa Sorensen is passionate about. She's the one who made CEO Satya Nadella take a punt on New Zealand. She's always been optimistic about demand for data storage here, with major corporates committing to shifting their servers into the cloud. But has the demand lived up to the hype? Vanessa, lovely to see you. Thanks so much for having us in.
Lovely to see you again. Thanks for having us.
We're going to talk about everything about the making of Microsoft's data centre region in New Zealand. But if you could please take us right back to the beginning. And I don't even know what year this is, so please remind me. But you had to get this signed off from Satya Nadella himself?
Yeah.
How did you do that?
Yeah, well, so I've been 7.5 years at Microsoft. I still feel like I'm a newbie, which is crazy. And one of the reasons I joined was thinking, imagine building data centres in this country, which everyone thought would be all but a dream. And I remember going up to our big kickoff in Vegas, and there was always a women's unit thing that you'd all get together, and there was always going to be a secret person coming. And the rumour was it was always Satya Nadella. So I thought, right, I'm definitely going to that. And it was him, and he was on stage, and I was just like, wow, I'd read his book. He's just such an incredible human being. And they said, right, we're going to offer the audience to ask questions. And I hadn't even thought of a question, but hand goes up. And it really started there. It was an invitation to come back to our beautiful country. And at the time, one of our amazing partners, Satya loves cricket, and so they had got a Black Caps cricket bat signed, and really the movement, or my note to him was, we've bought this up, can we have 5 minutes with you? Typical Kiwi ingenuity. We want to invite you down to our beautiful country, and really from that's what leapfrogged, and he came, 5 years ago, and really and truly that's where it started. I mean, him just meeting Kiwis, seeing the number 8 wire, the ingenuity, the innovation, and ultimately going to St. Joseph's School in Aorake and seeing the kids showing him Ngā Motu, which is the te reo version of Minecraft. And that afternoon he said to me, how did you do that? Like, he thought it was a multi-million-dollar project. And I said, yeah, we found an amazing coder who lives in the Coromandel from Picky Studios. We found $10,000, we made it happen. And the hardest thing was getting Microsoft to open up the back end of Minecraft to launch this. And that is now free for every single school. And the best thing was, it was my son showing him his journey of learning te reo through that very tool. So Satya turned around and said, if you can do that, how about we invest in data centers? And of course, then we had to do many business cases and gymnastics to make it happen, but it was extraordinary.
Well, exactly. That's the very lovely part of the story, but also you would have had to put through all of these sort of commercial pitches. It is an enormous investment in this economy as well. So talk me through the demand picture that you saw back then and the use cases that you perhaps put forward that made that investment worth it for Microsoft.
Well, we were so fortunate because we work with organisations like Fonterra, ASB Bank. We were able to tent them into our process and say, if we built this, what could it mean for the transformation of your business? And so really and truly, some of our most iconic New Zealand brands were really with us on that journey as we built that out. And it wasn't even at that point about them committing specific workloads. It was understanding the art of the possible if this was here. So I think, yes, the business case had to stand up. Yes, it had to look like, what would move in there, but it was all on the premise of net new workloads. It was finally realizing that we could, in fact, have a bank have their core banking system in public cloud with Azure. And it really stemmed from there. And then many of these organizations said, we will sign up as anchor tenants. We went on and then did the work. Once this launches, really and truly, can you see yourself moving there? And the day that I announced, back 4.5 years ago, while we were in lockdown, with the then Prime Minister launched that we were open for business because they were on board with us from the get-go. So it was an incredibly interesting process to go through, but when you've got customers working right beside you, it just helped paint the picture of what it could do for this country.
I'm keen to delve further into that. What specific demands were you seeing from New Zealand organisations, not even those anchor customers, but just across the economy, that you thought made having a data centre worthwhile? Exactly what would it unlock? Because these companies in the public sector could use your cloud services internationally. They didn't have to use it physically here. So what did that allow for that was different?
Yeah, and look, they have been for 15 plus years, and we've been growing exponentially from a local perspective, but it's the sovereignty, it's having data here, some latency concerns. If you've got your banking system, you need it to be going instantly. The security operations that goes with it in terms of working with the likes of ASB Bank about fraud detection. So when it's here and it's all on our platform, it just makes the art of the possible so much real, so much more real. You couldn't imagine the taxation system on public cloud offshore. And so some of it has to do with that, but never could we have imagined the AI movement back then. So talk about the most incredible, sliding door moment, because seeing that starting to unfold, now the opportunities for New Zealand are tenfold, more than we could have ever even imagined back then.
You mentioned that the demand was from net new workloads from these anchor customers. And one of the reports that I saw Microsoft put out throughout this journey of opening its data center region here, Microsoft predicted that cloud spend domestically in this country would hit more than $3 billion by 2024.
Yeah.
It's now 2025. Did that materialize, Vanessa?
Well, we can't disclose numbers, but I think what I do know is that for every dollar that comes with Microsoft's, our partners are exceeding more in services revenue. So some of those numbers are absolutely in the ecosystem. We are partner first, and I love that. That is about scaling and enabling these transformations with our partners. So it absolutely helps our economy, no question. Jobs, upskilling, people in tech earning better wages. The whole thing, there's nothing now not only stopping us, but the flow-on effect of rising all tides is what I'm so excited by.
One thing that may slow that, though, perhaps, is the state of our economy right now. And the economy was certainly in better shape when Satya first signed this off and you started building this data centre region here. Talk to me about the demand that you're seeing now. Is there perhaps some hesitancy because of the cost of transitioning into the public cloud?
Actually, quite the opposite.
Really?
Yeah, because You know, when you buy your own servers and store them in your data center, which could be a cupboard in the back of your office, you're paying big capital outlay. With cloud, when you no longer want it, you turn it off. We're teaching our customers to optimize every single day. In fact, we provide tools that they can benchmark us across all competitive clouds every single day. So to me, it's about giving you more access and opportunity. We're actually seeing the scale grow even faster, even with that economy, with what we're in, because of the access it gives you. That ability to using technology to help us get out of this. I mean, we need more productivity now more than ever. We're not going to create more humans right now. The best way to do it is through tech. And certainly with this AI movement, we are 100% seeing that.
Just quickly on that ramp up that you said is even bigger than you initially expected, what's the split of that sort of between public and private? Is one driving it more than the other at the moment?
Look, definitely the private sector, and you know, it was a lot of the private sector like the Fonterras and ASB Bank that really signed on early on, but we are seeing some phenomenal work within public sector as well. And it's just a little bit slower. I think I'm so proud that they've, you know, launched the AI Principles Guidebook, and you know, sometimes it does take a little bit more time, but watch the space in healthcare, you know, what we can do in education, you know, it's definitely coming, and it's very, very exciting, and I can't wait for us to jointly, you know, spread the word on what the goodness is.
You've already touched on this a little bit about some of your customers already perhaps having Microsoft productivity applications or using cloud services internationally. You said some of those customers already were. You already have first mover advantage because you've beat your competitors. I won't name them in this conversation, Vanessa, but you beat your competitors to opening a physical data center region here. But you also have a bit of an advantage because you already have a relationship with many of them. Talk me through how you think about that and how that ultimately makes it easier for Microsoft to win in this country.
Well, for us, it isn't any easier. I think competition's a great thing for everybody. Yes, we have, you know, long-term relationships. Microsoft's been in New Zealand for over 35 years. Microsoft's about to be 50. You know, it's incredible. But this investment is saying we're going to be here for the next 50, 100. Like, this is about long-term. And what I love about our local team and our partners, we have to earn the right every day. And, you know, I love the saying, it's part of Satya Nadella's intrinsic change of Microsoft from a global level. You know, don't be a know-it-all, be a learn-it-all. And, you know, you have to show up every single day, you know, making sure that you are doing the right things. And that's what I'm immensely proud of. I mean, projects like with Volpara here in New Zealand, which they are saving women's lives through breast screening with AI. Now they're moving that technology into brain cancers. I mean, these are things that in our lifetime, I believe we're truly going to see cures for because of what the technology can do. So that's what we want to open up. And, you know, as I say, we've got to earn the right every single day.
What did your Azure director, Pat Quesnell, say? Go big and grow home. I love that quote.
Well, also, you know, yeah, there's so many amazing sayings about Microsoft. And, you know, if you want to be the cool guys, go work for the other guys. But if you want to be the team that truly deliver and perform and are right there with you, go with Microsoft. And I'll take
You're
that.
still cool, Vanessa. We won't take that away from you. But just on the others, there is, I will mention them now, in fact, AWS has also committed $7 billion to launching their data center region here. They claim that their region is different to perhaps what your definition of a region may look like, and I'm keen to go into that. There's also Google Cloud. Then there's private ones like Datacom, CDC data centers. I've been inside one. They already exist physically in this country. How do you think about the competition in this country changing as they start to open their regions and start probably marketing them pretty hard in this country?
Again, I just think it's great for New Zealand. You know, we weren't a country that globally was looked at as a good place to invest in. And so I can only talk from our perspective. We are so banking on New Zealand. We've already bought more land to expand. And, you know, it's, you know, what is going to be needed for the compute power for New Zealand. We're a safe country. We've got water around us. We're part of, you know, a secure nation. Like, this is good for us. And I think, you know, ultimately, as a Kiwi, and you know you're onto something when your 84-year-old father's talking about it as well, it's great. I think it's just something that New Zealand's now got to embrace, understand what it can mean, and not sit back and watch. I think that would really be my advice.
That's a good signal. from your father. It's a bullish signal.
Yeah.
On market share, how do you see this all falling once everyone's operating in probably a few years' time in this country? Or does Microsoft not really care because it sounds like there's enough demand out there that there's space for all of these big tech players?
We can only look at what we've put forward, and as I say, I'm 100% proud of where we sit today. It is always like that leap of faith, as you and I have said. You know, when you're at the top and you go, I really believe in this, and I believe that we've got customers that want to be right with us. You know, the build out, all of it has taught me so much. And I think it's going to be incredible for New Zealand. The way I see it is, why globally do we look at countries like Israel and Ireland and go, look at how amazing they are? That can be New Zealand. Like, this is our shot to digitalize the country. Be proud, like stand tall about the projects that we're doing. And there's nothing stopping us now. Like, all the reasons before that we couldn't move to public cloud and we couldn't do certain things, like, game on, it's there. And why wouldn't you leverage it?
I want to talk in more detail about your project. You have one physical data center. I won't disclose the location because you'd probably slap me on the wrist if I said that, but it is in Auckland, and I believe there are others planned. Explain to me Microsoft's definition of a region, how they are interconnected but also allow for redundancy on their own. How does that work in Microsoft's sense?
Yeah, so we never talk about buildings and how many. I mean, it's basically, we call it a zone 3. It is 100% exactly what we build globally. It is not an outpost, which is maybe something that sits somewhere. It is fully resilient. It has got, again, we're probably one of the companies that tries to get hacked more than anyone else. Like, we have to build in that resilience. If anything happened, power, if there was an earthquake, all of those things are looked at, and when we design, when we build, and where we go. And your good old New Zealand people finding out where things are. You can't hide anything here. All of our customers and everyone knows exactly what this means, and it is not just a bunch of services in a warehouse. Like, this is truly top grade, 4 nines plus. Like, this is, and including even, underwater cable and infrastructure that we have over-invested over the years to make this the top grade. And it is sad because people would like to go there and see it, but again, that's all part of the security realm that we uphold.
If you can give us slightly more colour then in terms of the expansion, are you planning on building more direct standalone data centres? Will there be shared space? Perhaps a region you can tell us that you might be targeting?
Oh, look, more to come on that. It's, again, we were able to let everybody know that we bought more land because that's out in the public arena. Look, it'll all be Azure Microsoft services run and led by us with our security posture, everything that businesses around the world and governments expect from us. And, as you said, clients in New Zealand have been leveraging our services offshore for many, many years. But the exponential opportunity now for us to house our data here is what's incredibly important.
You told me before we started rolling the cameras that this one that you do have open now, you're already transitioning customers into servers, into racks in that given data center. Is it full? Like, is there demand flowing into these other ones, hence why you're buying land?
Look, we never look at things about full or or where things are. I mean, absolutely not. But we just see the demand and what we have signed from transformation opportunities with our customers. We see the demand. You add AI into that in terms of what is going to be required. You add in our sustainability component to it. We are just absolutely, can see where this is going to lead, and there is no such thing as full. I mean, that's the way Microsoft manage this globally. We've got such smart people. It's created so many more roles, not only in New Zealand, but in Australia. We work very, very tightly together, so no one needs to worry about that.
Given that this is one of the newest Microsoft data center regions around the world, was this the 61st Azure region globally?
Yes, I think it was. But
because you have 61, and so I'm assuming we're the most recent, right?
I can't even keep up anymore, honestly.
Honestly, neither, hence why I'm asking.
No, but it's amazing, like even just seeing how many are opening across Asia. Asia's so important for Microsoft.
Well, Malaysia recently?
Yeah, Malaysia, Hong Kong, Taiwan, like it is phenomenal. I can't even keep up, like it's incredible. But boy, oh boy, we made some fanfare on New Zealand. It was incredible, actually, the day that we were able to launch. We had a party in the offices. The team had put a backdrop of data centres. There was like a pretend ribbon cutting, and it looked so real. People from corp were like, "Are you in the data centre cutting the ribbon?"
No, you're not allowed to film in the data centre, otherwise I would have asked to do this in the data centre.
But really, again, just, Kiwis celebrating. We were so fortunate to have Judson Althoff here, who reports to Satya Nadella. He launched our AI conference with this incredible investment, with also the Honourable Judith Collins, which, is incredible for even government to understand the scale of what we're doing here.
Well, because this is one of the more modern data centres in Microsoft's Azure fleet, I guess if you can call it that, and its infrastructure investment, I've heard that this is the most sustainable one.
Yeah.
Explain that to me. I understand there's air cooling, you mentioned that deal with contact energy. What makes it the most sustainable one to date?
Yeah, just again, New Zealand's just such an incredible opportunity, and we didn't really realise this at the get-go because of using the geothermal capabilities of New Zealand. Mike from Contact has actually gone publicly and said we would never have been able to expand without the investment from Microsoft. And that's what I love. Like, we are overspending to make sure that we do everything we've committed to. And that was for Microsoft by 2030 being carbon neutral, but by 2050 undoing all the sins of the past. So it's huge building upgrades, making sure that there's zero water. What are the requirements needed at a global level? Like, really looking at the lens from the planet. And so as we built this out, I think that for me was one of the more favourable components of New Zealand, because we have this energy source that we can tap into, and the fact that Contact through our amazing contract can expand early, again, that's only good for all Kiwis. So yeah, very, very, very proud of that.
A slightly more controversial question, but people don't love the look of data centres. We kind of have this, what we call NIMBY in this country, not in my backyard, sentiment around some things. I'm sure you've heard that. What's your response to that, and why do you think that New Zealanders should ultimately view this as a good thing for what it unlocks rather than just what they may look like?
I can only refer to my own parents as we drive through places like Silverdale, and they're like, "Oh, look at all the building." It's called progress. And I just think for Kiwis, we've got to see the goodness of what this is going to do for us. Rising all tides, creating new jobs, upskilling people. I was able to announce that we're going to upskill another 100,000 Kiwis in AI over the next few years. Free certifications. Like, that's the stuff that I'd rather us point to and go, it's progress. And what that opportunity is going to lead for us all.
Look forward to seeing you do more of it.
I can't wait.
Maybe, hopefully, we can do this inside a data centre. Probably not, but I'm going to ask.
Well, we'll get that backdrop open, and
we're not going to fake it. We're either doing it or we're not. Come on.
No, it is. I think that's probably my number one thing. Is this is our time. Like, let's not let it be our Kodak moment. Like, let's take this. Like, let's grab it and look at the art of the possible. Where I think for Kiwis sometimes we go, the great thing about New Zealand is we're so far away from the rest of the world. And the bad thing about New Zealand is we're so far away from the rest of the world. Actually, we're not now. We've connected with the rest of the world. And that for me is what I hope everyone understands from this, can truly think of the art of the possible within their business, and don't sit and wait, just make it happen.
I love your positivity. Thank you so much for doing this, Vanessa. Appreciate it.
Lovely to see you again.
Thanks for watching Markets with Madison. If you enjoyed this interview, please hit the like and subscribe buttons below. I do all of the research for these episodes myself, so your support means a lot. I always love to hear your feedback and ideas, so please drop any thoughts in the comments below. Now go put your money to work.